Hey guys, welcome back to KSP Resurgence. I know it's been a while since I've uploaded, but thankfully I'm here with another video. After like 2 or 3 weeks, was it? I don't even know. Last episode we landed on Rack, which is from Proxima's beggar Dres. It gets your games to Rack if you have Celestial Harmony installed. Now, this episode we're landing on Gaia and Po, which is a planet and a moon that is very, very far away from Harmonia, which is the parent star. Gaia has a very thin atmosphere, thick enough to not worry about drag, but just thick enough so you can barely land using parachutes. Though it's going to be a little tricky to do so. Po is an atmosphereless moon. It's a vacuum world with a very distinct coloring and lots of cool ridges and stuff. It's a really cool moon, and today I'm landing on both of them. Now, this will be a slightly shorter episode, just by 5 minutes, so it's not that bad. Anyway, I can see Gaia approaching as we turn around to face retrograde, so we can prepare to slow down. Gaia looks somewhat hazy just by its thin atmosphere. Thankfully, despite this distance, we still have a 1% connection strength with the Kerbal Space Center. Now, I'm making a maneuver to kind of even out our inclination, just because I do not like having inclined orbits. Besides, we are trying to land on this thing as equatorial as possible, just to kind of get as much delta V as possible saved. Because this lander, I did not overbuild it, but I did not underbuild it. It was just right. I barely had enough delta V to do these 2 landings. Thankfully, I managed to pull it off. Now, Gaia, I really like Gaia, but I'm afraid I'm not going to colonize it just because it doesn't have the right resources. I will scan it later this episode, so you can see that, which is pretty cool. If you're wondering what this spacecraft is powered by, it's powered by a fission fragment engine from far future. It's the best fission engine, except for the very, very far future nuclear saltwater one. I'm far away from unlocking that, so unfortunately I won't be using it for a while. Now I'm transferring the crew to the lander and preparing to undock. Of course, gotta make quick saves, because if we don't make quick saves, bad things will happen. I'm pretty proud of this lander. It's a pretty cool one. If you're wondering where the service bay is from, it's from Universal Storage 2. I really like how it kind of makes more science experiments compact instead of having like huge science experiments. It's just a science junior. The material bay is a lot more compact and doesn't take up as much space. So it's much easier to put inside a service bay. My main gripe is that opening the bays of the materials in the science experiments, it's just kind of a pain. Like I have to click one button to open it, one button to do the experiment, another button to collect the experiment, and then I have to close it again, which is really, really, really annoying. Thankfully, though, I don't really care that much, so here, enjoy the descent. Unfortunately, I think Celestial Harmony's Firefly configs are bugged. Well, they're not really bugged, they're just outdated, so they'll have to be updated. Thankfully, we don't really see any Firefly effects during this descent. If we did, they'd just be the default colors. Gaia's atmosphere is very thin, yet very hazy somehow. Who knows, maybe we'll find ice cream just like we did on Mingus. Because the description of this planet does say that the Kerbals hope to find ice cream here. I mean, they tried looking for Mingus. They've been looking for ice cream since the dawn of time. But of course they didn't find it. Instead they found boring limestone. Like, who wants limestone? We want ice cream. Despite the somewhat bouncy landing, we actually did manage to land in one piece. Though I did adjust the landing gear just so I could go somewhat upright. I didn't bother with a ladder just because Gaia has a very low gravity, so we can just jump and use the RCS pack. Though it's somewhat high, so it's kind of troublesome. You can't really hover for that long. But you don't really need a ladder. I just have to do some very weird stuff here. Have a little fall there. This is where the tedium of science experiments really rears its ugly head. I believe that's all the science we have for today on this planet, so let's move on. Let's do the EVA flag planting. You always have to plant a flag on a mission. It's practically like required. Of course, Jebediah falls over, but he doesn't care. He's Jebediah. And here's a flag. Gaia in all of its glory. Fortunately, we didn't find any ice cream. Tragic. Maybe Po has some. The obligatory screenshot, might use that for the thumbnail. And time to reborg the spaceship. Thankfully, unboarding and reborging 3 Kerbals is a lot better than doing the same with 6 Kerbals, which I did do in previous missions. Now, if you really have a sharp eye, you may notice that these engines are using diborane. Now, diborane with chemical technologies, the chemical technologies mod, it will replace methane as a potential fuel, so any methane engine can use diborane once you unlock it. So basically, it has better thrust, better efficiency, and if chemical technologies actually had waterfall configs, it would be burning green, but unfortunately, it still has the basic Methalox bloom. And we did get some Firefly effects, but they're the default ones. I really hope the configs get updated for the latest version of Firefly before I make another video. Especially going to some of the atmospheric planets, because there are plenty of atmospheric worlds I haven't been to yet. I mean, after this, I'm probably going to go to Daysar, which is yet again a vacuum world. But it is very hot, a very hot place. Has lava, but I don't think any spaceships will actually melt there. I tested it. Well, I tested by using the cheats just to get me there. I'm not sure if it creates any bugs where I suddenly immune to heat, but I'll have to see if my lander melts or anything. Anyway, we are finally in orbit, and I'm now planning an orbital rendezvous. It was at this point I did somewhat worry about how much fuel we had. I was really afraid we weren't going to be able to land on Po, but thankfully I did manage to get enough fuel in the end. Spoiler alert. Rendezvous in Kerbal have gotten really easy for me. I did make sure to deploy the docking port this time, because last time I didn't, and I just bumped the docking port. Another thing that really bothers me is that I can't time warp with 2 vehicles in physics range, just because persistent thrust really goofs me up. It's really buggy. I did decide to use some of the mothership's fuel just to save some delta V on the lander. I mean, I'm glad I made that move because we make the Po landing by the skin of our teeth. So I probably could have added more fuel. Our TWR is a little off the charts with this lander. Speaking of my lander, it is using diborane as I previously stated. The future lander that's going to Daysar, I've already designed it. It will be using diborane and liquid fluorine as fuel and oxidizer. So that's going to make a really interesting combo, and it gives me like around 4,000 meters per second with not too much fuel, so it looks very, very efficient. It will be using the same engine, which is from Cryogenic Engines Extensions. It's a really great mod if you like cryogenic engines, and it's a really good mod. Anyway, I did change my inclination, but somebody here, wink wink, forgot to hit record, so fortunately I just have to cut here. Inclination changes can be kind of annoying, especially when you keep burning but you only get 1 degree off. But with this, I don't really care. I'm not trying to aim for anything like Gilly, where 1 degree will get you off course. Po has a slightly bigger sphere of influence, so it probably won't be too bad. Not to mention, I did actually add a new song to the playlist I'm using. Not really a playlist, just a list of songs I'm using. So, new video song. Pretty cool. I like it. The song will be in the description, of course. I can't remember it off the top of my head. Just found it on the YouTube audio library. Thought it sounded good, so now I'm using it. Anyway, we have a decent Po encounter. I'm trying to get a polar one just so I can scan it. I do believe Gaia had plenty of like ore, mega ore, and I think it had Aeronautics. Wait, I'm not even sure. Well, it didn't have helium 3. So, if it had like Aeronautics, that would be good for what we have now, but like, I want to do like fusion fuels later, because I don't unlock any really better fission engines until like really late game, so unfortunately that won't be much of use to me if I'm going to go interstellar. So I'm probably going to be doing a colony somewhat closer to the system, probably in Magnifica, which is a huge pinkish purple gas giant with lots of moons. By the way, I'm planning to do a grand tour of that planet as like a season finale. Won't be the end of the series, just the season. Season 1 is going to focus on interplanetary travel, while Season 2 is going to be interstellar. You know, I'm kind of a dilemma. Like, I have only 32 gigabytes of RAM, but like my KSP install, like, it completely fills up my RAM. I'm not sure how adding more planets is going to do that, because the planets I'm using are going to get updated. It's also at this point where I'm going to do a plane change just so I can save as much Delta V as possible. But back to my RAM issue, I'm not sure. I don't want to put any mods on the chopping block and uninstall them just in case I cause issues. But then again, I'm not sure if I should get 64 gigabytes of RAM, because I feel like that might be a little bit overkill. But then again, it might give me an excuse to get RGB on my RAM, which is something I've been wanting to do for quite a while now. By the way, if you've been watching this far, you should probably like and subscribe just to see more content like this. I really appreciate it. I really like how Parallax Continued has stuff from orbit. It just makes all the planets look 10 times better. When done right, like, most of the time it's really good, but sometimes it can be buggy. Like with a JNSQ config, like half the time it doesn't even work correctly. Anyway, I have gotten around Po orbit, equatorial orbit, and now I'm ready to land. Now, you should always make quick saves at various points in Kerbal Space Program and give them all certain names. Just in case you realize you made a mistake later, you can load back a save. Because I keep making mistakes. Another PSA, Kerbal Space Program actually has a backup folder where it keeps older versions of like generic quick saves in your persistent save file. So just in case you accidentally press F5 or something really stupid like that, or your save gets corrupted, you can actually go there. I actually had to do that because I made a really stupid mistake. I actually forgot to do a maneuver which Tenacity, my other interplanetary vehicle, was going on. So now it remained in interplanetary space. But thankfully, I loaded it back up and righted my wrongs. So now everyone on Tenacity is safe. I was hoping to return them this episode, but doing the SSTO trip would add 15 minutes to this video. And if I do any more than like 25-ish minutes, the algorithm will not like that. So I gotta keep it like at around this time. I feel like 20 minutes is a sweet spot for Kerbal videos. Okay, not too long, not complete snore fest, also not too short, plenty of content. Now, Po has some I almost like Po for a bit, but Po has some really nice colors. Has some white, has a little bit of light blue, it has this really dark teal, which I'm about to land on. I've never seen ice cream this color, so Kerbals are gonna have to be creative as to what to flavor it. Maybe they could call it like Po Punch or like something cool like that. Will they find ice cream, or it'll just be boring rocking ice? We're about to find out. You know, Celestial Harmony does have some science experiment riggings, some unique ones, but I'm not sure if like every experiment has a rigging. I think like Beardy Penguin like once did a community-filled science experiments for one of his series. I could be wrong, but I might want to do something like that, but it might be a little bit difficult, especially some of my experience. Besides, it's only my first real deal KSP Let's Play series. Anyway, we got all the crew on EVA and planting the flag. Take a minute to admire the view. Okay, minute's over. Time to get back in the vehicle. Now, I was really worried about how much Delta V we had. I can't stress this enough. But thankfully, we did manage to make it by the skin of our teeth. I did have to do some really weird maneuver just to avoid that cliff, because that was a near miss. I almost had to load a quick save there. I'm so glad I actually got that on camera, because that was like a really, really crazy clip. With orbit achieved, the crew's going to have to wait a few orbits just to get the perfect encounter. Oh, and yeah, we did get a little bit of an inclined trajectory. I think we would have had more Delta V to spare with if I didn't have to do that life-saving stump back there, but we did manage to pull through. We're in orbit, anything's possible. The mothership can rendezvous with us if need be. I do have some monopropellant fuel saved up, but I don't think the RCS jets on the side are working. I think it's an issue with chemical technologies. And, yeah, the lander just ran out of fuel, so the mothership has to pitch in. Thankfully, though, we're already going quite slow, so we didn't have to do anything really crazy. You can barely see the stars and the other planets. Harmonia is only a little speck from here. You can still notice that it is the biggest star in the sky, but you can also see the planets pretty well too, since I have distant object enhancement. After a little bit of finagling at the docking port, I was able to dock, transfer the crew, take all the science, all the juicy science, get it all inside. Now, unfortunately, without any way to return to Sanctar, or at least crash into Po, the lander was stuck in orbit. As a result, the lander stopped thinking. And it's just stuck there now. Kudos if you get the reference. Anyway, we have warped to Tenacity, which will now be performing a capture burn around Sanctar, which is the home planet in Celestial Harmony, which is a whole planet pack. I did check back on Fortitude while I was warping, just to make sure everything was going fine. Another thing that kind of bugs me is that the alarms you set in the alarm clock keep stopping time warp, and it's the most annoying way too. Like, it does it step by step instead of just stopping it instantly. Like, it takes 5 hours to stop. It's the worst. And sometimes it just happens and I forgot I set an alarm, so I'm just, why is it stopping the time warp? Ah! Really annoying. This fusion engine is actually a little bit worse than the fission fragment engine. Well, actually a lot worse. I can easily get double Delta V with a fission fragment engine. And not to mention, fusion fuel is way harder to get, so maybe I should have gone the fission route. But I mean, fusion will be the main source of thrust in engines, and actual good engines, for a while. So I might as well get used to them. I mean, I'm not even sure if I even want to, well, mining Helium-3 is actually somewhat easy with my Kerbal Colonies mod, but Deuterium's a lot more tedious. But since it's cheap, I don't care about having it shipped to wherever it's needed, just because it's actually supposed to be abundant, but It's actually really tedious to mine with my mod setup. Anyway, Raksaktar and actually getting to a lower orbit. But unfortunately, I keep fat fingering. Well, I didn't fat finger at this time, but I did a little bit something weird with the time warp. So I did have to do a slightly. I did have to do another burn. Besides, the TWR is horrible. This will be the end of this episode. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all later. Bye.